Aloha. Wanted to do a quick video extension off the last video and kind of address the idea, the upside down backwards reality of the separation from our spirit, our soul, the systematic demise of our own natural connections and being replaced with this materialistic version of our reality. And not even just a materialistic version of our reality, but a sick and diseased materialistic version of our reality, because we have this physical vessel that is experiencing something here in relationship to the Most High. But we can very well see that there is a coding, a system of control and separation from that spirit, that soul as a whole. And it's not that difficult to observe once you let go of what we are so used to, what we are so what we consider to be our reality, what we consider to be our understandings of ourselves and how we perceive our reality. This is why it's so important to realize how the definitions and the understandings of evil and the control grid as a whole. Otherwise, we won't know if we are being led by those who mean us harm, who actually mean to parasite us, our very existence, for their own benefit, which is actually what is happening today, which is what happened to the Native Americans, which is what happened to the indigenous people all over the world within the colonial program, and it has manifested into this happy-go-lucky space of synthetic connections with ourselves, synthetic versions of our reality, and the celebration of that control grid, the celebration of that demigod system through the monetary, the fiat currency system, through the political colonial system, through the maritime admiralty law system, all of the things, the birth certificate enslavement program, everything that keeps us locked into the ideas of who we think we are, which are actually the separation, the celebratory cognitive dissonance space that is actually the upside down backwards version of claircognizance. So claircognizance would be able to sense and feel and get a direct download of your reality from your connections to the Great Spirit. And right now we can understand that our relationship to ourselves and the spirit as a whole is based upon this cognitive dissonance that is balanced by the distraction grid. The infrastructure is maintained by the scientism community, the NASA program, the CERN program, the individuals, the magicians who tell you how to experience your reality. So when you have questions about God or anything that is outside of the physical realm, you have an answer for it because it has been provided for you by the religious system, the university system, the political system, the education system, your generations upon generations of bloodline genetic codes that have been manipulated to think and feel and train themselves and their children to experience a certain way. And it's based upon these belief structures. So the actual observing of your reality through your senses is adjusting your genetic code. So when you wake up in the morning, you're not just waking up for fun. You're not just waking up just 'cause. Like, that's the reality we are actually existing in today, especially when we get separated from our dreams. We have no connection to any space beyond our physical reality. In fact, we are fearful of life because we are fearful of death, and that is backed by the installation of being fearful of God, with this whole God-fearing mentality, and this whole system, as our very nature, our human existence is based upon slave owners. We can't eat, drink, we can't eat healthy food or drink clean water or have a shelter without these slave owners being involved in our very existence on a basic human nature scale. We are broken down into this from birth, straight out the gate, straight out the vaginal gate. You are cataloged as a stock number to be utilized as debt towards this vampiric system of control. And the way these slave notes are coded with this Latin language, knowing language is magic. Language is a spell. This is where we get spelling from. This is where you get cursing from. This is where you get all of the dark arts, the repetition, when you watch television, when you're listening to music, when you hear the subliminal messages in music, when you see the subliminal messages in videos, music videos, when you see the repetition of self-destructive behavior and the supremacy program within Hollywood, and these young kids watching these so-called educational videos on YouTube, or even like the old programs, Bill Nye the Science Guy and all that pro-evolution, monkey mind, monkey evolution theory programming that is just setting the foundation for NASA, setting the foundation for you to just graduate and then go into a deeper enslavement to get your 1 degree of understanding of your reality based upon the physical reality, and only a small degree of the physical reality. We get locked into it because at our essence, at our very genetic code, at our subconscious level of understanding, our subconscious power grid, willpower, our fire, has been dampened from the time we got our asses slapped to make us cry into this reality, down to the very natures of how we even understand who we are. For example, this is an example of the Puerto Ricans, who are actually the Taino people, where Puerto Rico actually means the port of riches. So, and riches to who? Like, who named it that? Like, when they were originally the Taino people, and then these slave owners and these psychological magicians and overall just vampires showed up and installed religion, installed the slave program, installed this cognitive dissonance illusion, this cognitive dissonance experience that has manifested itself all the way up until today, to where we celebrate being called Puerto Ricans. We celebrate being called Costa Ricans. The same thing in Costa Rica. Just means the coast of riches. Riches to who? The people who stole, who were sucking the energy out of that land through the colonial program, who were installing disease into that land. This is the essence of the Stockholm Syndrome, of the psychological conditioning, to where you start to worship your slave owners. You start to enjoy the feel of the whip. You start to pray to these limitations. When they say in God we trust on the money, when they say God bless America, you don't know what God they're talking about. They have no connection to. They have severed, the so-called they have severed their connections to the Most High Spirit in order to maintain dominion over the innocent conscious beings within this earth plane physical reality. And they have installed all of these systems that we see and have even gone to defending. People are still having difficulty understanding that the white supremacy program still exists. Some people still have problems understanding that racism still exists, and it's at the actual core of this program. People still have difficulty seeing the eugenics program exists, the prison industrial complex exists, the military industrial complex exists. Until we understand that these realities, until we call them out for what they are, we won't be able to make any kind of forward progress in any kind of way, whatever you feel it is, because they have designed this program to make it feel like you have an understanding of forward progress. This is why you have the political system. This is why you think you're free, because they say this is the land of the free, home of the brave. This is why everything is backwards and everything is a distraction. It's the worshipping of the materialistic version of our reality, and it's based upon disease. It's based upon the separation from the organic nature of your experience in your reality as a whole. This is poison. When you have individuals like Bill Nye saying it's okay to genetically modify your baby, that is a problem. I have a fucking problem with that. Because it's not just my babies out there that are being genetically modified. If I were to have babies, it's everybody's babies that are out there. This is not, I'm not, saying this stuff for my health. This is for people to start to comprehend that this program is being delivered to us by individuals, magicians who have woven themselves into our very natures of how our scientific understandings of our reality, our hearts, like what we say we love, what we say, even our ideas of love, the whole marriage program, the marriage certificate program, the CERN program of the court system, the maritime admiralty system, all of it is one program. They're wearing those black robes. They got those black cubes on their heads. This is all a magic. Every single idea that we understand as part of our reality, the mainstream reality, is actually fed to us backwards and upside down to create an atmosphere. And the reason why it's so difficult is because everything has been just externalized. Everybody has been separated from their culture, their true culture, and installed this shallow layer of history, this shallow layer of roots, where we believe that our history, it starts in 1492. This is when the Americas, this is how your present moment can get stolen. Your frequencies of your moment get stolen, and your forward progress, your true evolution into your future through your experience and your children's experience gets stolen, because your roots get installed into a grid, topsoil layer that has been filled with pesticides for so many generations. And since we've been surviving on these pesticides and these artificial versions of our reality, we are now dependent. We have become dependent on them so much that we get into this Stockholm syndrome of defending it because we don't have a, which is exactly what the system wants, which is why the political scene is out there to continue that program of, this is how you should think. This is what you are. You're a Democrat or you're a Republican. There is no Bernie. There is no this. There is no nature. There is no natural connection. There are no indigenous people. There are no Aboriginal people. There are nothing. Those are savages. This is what that program is based upon. And they won't tell you that. Instead of telling you that, they make you think subliminally like this. They make you think very boxed in. If you're black, you're a thug. If you're Hispanic, you're illegal. And even Hispanic is not even a real thing. That is another further layer of this separation program. There are no Hispanics. There are no Latins. You are who you are once you tap the roots of who you really are, where your blood originates, where your roots and your culture are. This shallow, lazy-ass version, just like English is a lazy-ass version of communication between humans, is an actual code of dumbing down your forward progress in your individual genetic coding, expansion, and the collective program. And the way the collective gets shut down is by the fear of letting go of the slave program, understanding a space outside of this, because we've been so locked into this insecure fear program to where we even fear our spirit. We fear stepping out of the box of our fabricated reality because we're too vulnerable. And in that vulnerable space, since we've been, just like you can see how the Republican National Convention was all about installing fear, all about scaring the shit out of you, just like the war on terrorism, the so-called, all that stuff, the war on drugs, all that is the exact opposite. It's maintained to create the exact opposite in order for the system itself to benefit, to profit off of your lack of engagement, off of your disempowerment space, off of your lack of fire, off of your lack of understanding who and what you really are. This is why the Columbian era history program is so deeply ingrained with these slave movies on a regular basis, with this Roots programming television show on the History Channel. And then the opposite version of that is the future programming / distraction grid, which is the new age program of the aliens, the ancient aliens, and the guiding you into the path that they need you to go into in order to further lock down not only your physical reality, not only your psychology, but your actual spirit, locking you into this false version of evolution called transhumanism, where they're talking about the next evolutionary step of humanity is to merge humans with machine. This is the further separation. This is why people call this like the mark of the beast. It's the actual devil program, the actual separation grid program, fully separating you, fully vesting your energy into their ideas. They created themselves to be gods. They put themselves out there as your God, the in God we trust on the money. When you can't feed your kids and you can't get water and you can't get shelter because you don't have money, that is your God. And who prints that money? The individuals, the people, the puppet masters behind all of those political parties, all that stuff, all the individuals, the entities, the destructive intelligence entity that created the idea of separation, to where you have just been genericized into this idea of a thug, into this idea of illegal, into this idea of a terrorist. And then the protection grid of that, the victimization program of that is who is your owner? The people who are constantly innocent until proven guilty. The people who actually have the power to walk around with a privilege. They literally have a privilege, not because necessarily they have a privilege, but it's because we are so it's even difficult to even describe to individuals who are still having difficulty seeing that white privilege and white supremacy exists. One clear example is that I walk down the street, and I'm what people will call light skinned or brown skinned. I'm just, my presence is threatening to people because of the fear program. My presence is threatening. I am automatically labeled as a thug and illegal and sometimes a terrorist because I fit all these ideas when through people's eyes. People don't know if I'm black or Mexican. And the other day somebody called me an Arabin. Didn't even know how to explain. Didn't even know how to word it. He didn't even know what that is. He just made up a word, Arabin. So, like I said, there are individuals that don't even know that is an actual coding that you have to transcend as a melanated individual, and that the so-called white individual will never ever have to experience, because they are automatically in the okay zone. You are automatically a good guy. You are automatically the good person. And that's anchored all the way into the whole blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus. That is how far back this programming goes. And that is at the essence of what people refer to as white privilege. I mean, there's so many other details that are in that space, but that is at the heart of it. And then the prison industrial complex, the profit off of this separation grid that is leaked into the police system, into the so-called justice system, where they profit off of prisoners in the prison industrial complex. They get people, they have to lobby people to get more prisoners in there, specific kinds of prisoners, to maintain that low fire, that dumbing down, the dampening of the fire of the peoples as a whole. And since everything is so compartmentalized, and we don't connect the dots, and it's so incomprehensible to even consider that all of this stuff is a program to get us to think and feel and experience a certain way, we don't even want to think about it, and we just go about our lives. We just stay within the distraction grid, stay within this hypnosis space, and just focus our reality on the ego, focus our reality on, what our world is about. I just got to take care of my kids. I just got to go to work. I got to do my job, stay out of trouble. That is horrible. That is really, really bad. And this is why Hollywood is so pumped up with the princess programming, because they want these women to be disempowered. They want these women to immediately have babies, be so sexually programmed that they need to get married. They need to be engaged in a relationship right off the bat. They need to be whatever the television tells them to be. And the males just follow suit. Because it is in that space of reality, it really is just female and male. It's not a man and a woman. Because the man, the true man and the true woman would understand this reality and expand and grow in love and rise in love rather than falling in love. A female and a male will just understand this, be a part of this hypnosis reality, and just fall into whatever system is put out there. So you're falling into these cracks. This is why they say fall in love, because you are falling into the grid, falling into the gap. We have this inner slavery that is the ignorance, which is the evil of our existence, the separation from the Most High, to never engage with anything outside of the material realm, to never engage our true spirit. This is why people talk about getting caught up here, recycling here. This is not our beginnings. This is not our ends. We are beyond this physical reality space, so far beyond this. It is actually difficult for people to maintain this reality the way it is, because of how destructive it is, and how the balance of us is being infinite beings, being so powerful, being so vibrant, that this energy, this frequency that we are experiencing here today is akin to it's hard to even explain. It's like a match. Like a match when you know that you are an actual sun. Like the norm of this reality is a match. Like one tiny flame, a candle flame. When you have at the very least, you have the potential of existing as your central sun, your connection with that space, as long as we connect with those realities. But that's not the norm here. The norm is to be dumbed down and separated from your true knowledge, stuck within this cognitive dissonance, lack of understanding of your spirit, and celebrating this idea of engagement in your reality, which is just a television show. This is why these actors are being activated now, because they need more people to make the political scene more real. So they have to they have to pull their Hollywood cards to make you believe in this system, because people, if they didn't have actors and talk show hosts who believed in it, then you wouldn't give a shit about Donald Trump and Hillary, because you would know they were automatically full of shit. But since you have actors, celebrities, musicians, and talk show hosts who are constantly convincing you that reality is the only reality, your reality, in fact these actors are your superheroes literally, then you are giving your power away to an illusion. Whether these actors and actresses know it or not, they are engaging in this magic spell that is not for your benefit. It is for your demise. And yeah, it's a whole backwards program. Like this: go to school to get a job, to pay for school. It's a backwards. It's a snake eating its own tail until you choke on your own materialistic version of your reality. And then you teach your kids to do the same thing, because that's how you did it. You made it. You did it. Now your kids got to do it. That's what this whole system is about. And this is what this whole, even in the new Star Trek movie, you got with the guy's name, Bones, the doctor on Star Trek, saying fear is actually what keeps us alive. Shit like that. Like what? It's that whole, everything that we see and hear exists forever. Everything. So when your kids are listening to these superheroes pretty much say these things who exist in the future, your fire is being dampened easily. And since your true power exists in the inner spaces outside of this materialistic version, like this quote says, there is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. Everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself. Well, in fact, the opposite version of that is the norm, is the reality. We are told to maintain, to focus on the physical reality. The women are completely locked into the physical realm, the makeup, the body, that is actually how the people fall in love. Like the essence of true spirits finding each other and growing in love, that's like non-existent. People are caught up in the fairy tale, the science fiction versions of love, the science fiction versions of science, the science fiction versions of the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon, and our connection to that, our natural connection to that space. Once you are told that the sun is 93 million miles away, you have no connection there anymore. You have no, you just think it's a thing now. It's just a thing. Like you might as well be turning on the heater, like a, when you wake up in the morning. That's basically what it is. It's a thing. It's no longer a spiritual connection anymore. So since we have been focused on the external, that is what we are based upon, the slave mind. We can't even question our beliefs anymore. We can't even, if you even ask a question outside of what is the norm, the bully program activates and you are just shut down. This is that adolescent mentality that Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Michio Kaku, all those so-called scientists, they utilize that space. Really look at them when they speak to individuals who take them outside of their box, who don't sit down and just accept everything that they say and that they are so-called about as the end-all be-all. They immediately lock into a bully mentality, a high school version of their connections. And that's the scientific version of the separation as a whole that this quote, which I'll read, explains. The first piece, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all its powers. And when they realize that at the center of the universe dwells Wakantanka, the Great Spirit, and that this center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. This is the real peace, and the others are but reflections of this. The second piece is that which is made between two individuals. The third is that which is made between two nations. But above all, you should understand that there can never be peace between nations until there is known that true peace, which, as I have often said, is within the souls of men. And that's Black Elk Oglala Sioux, from the Oglala Sioux. So this is basically what we are experiencing today, is that we have no true peace, no true connections with any of those layers, because all of them are artificial. All of them, from our very understandings of human nature, politics, nature as a whole, our food, our water, everything is about separation from that great spirit. This is why the science community is heavily based upon scientism, is heavily based upon atheism, with the Big Bang and the evolution theory. The Big Bang is your God. The Big Bang, the cosmic mistake, is your God that sets the platform for these individuals, to create a fiat currency system that can get in between you and your very existence, your human resources as a whole. So we're stuck in this sort of, not a sort of, but an actual, like a spiritual genocide. We're stuck in this space of constant insecurity, spiritual insecurity. This is why we're surrounded by false flags, and we have these weak and abusive relationships to that great spirit that Black Elk was mentioned. That religion is put in between us to give us the facade of that connection, while also allowing us to really connect deeply or subconsciously, but not really activate it, in order for the counter magic to work against us easily. And then we have these broken families, which are by design, the inner cities, the separating of the father and the mother, which and then separates the child from the mother and the father. And then you have technology, which is installed to separate the child from the mother and the father, and the mother and the father from each other. And then eventually, when that child grows up, be able to separate themselves from their great spirit in order to adjust to the transhumanism idea of the scientism program. So these are why these broken families exist in order to divide and conquer the individual, divide and conquer the family, divide and conquer the culture, divide and conquer the community, divide and conquer your connection to Great Spirit, and then you are locked and you have nothing. You're floating in space. You're already floating in space because you have no understanding of your connection to Great Spirit, because you think you're just a cosmic mistake floating out in space after the Big Bang with a monkey mind who now has a smartphone. Now your owners, your demigods, are the ones who are going to create your future for you. And you have no foundations because your family is completely destroyed. Your connection to spirit doesn't exist. You have a lack of resources because that is designed by the program to funnel your resources through these owners. You can't eat, you can't drink water, you can't have a shelter over your head unless you go through the owners. So when they provide your human resources, they are your God. And this is why this political scene needs to be pumped up and backed up by these talk show hosts. You need to really believe in it and actually desensitize yourself to all the scandal and all the bullshit that's going on, knowing that this stuff, none of this is not your choice. You're not voting. They are selecting these individuals to just change the script, but it's the same movie being played over and over and over again, trying to make you believe in something different, but it's going to be the same thing over and over again because that's a design. Everything that you experience is filtered through a controller. We have shallow and weak education systems based upon these weak roots, poisoned soil, lacking of history, lacking of connection to the moment, lacking of an imagination and a creative fire, creative intelligence connection that goes into actually creating a harmonic space into our understanding of what the future could be, having it actually sent down to us by by the Hollywood scene, the scientism community, and these politicians who are actually in charge of slowing your reality, slowing your true evolution, slowing your actual understandings of yourself. It is based upon disempowerment. It's based upon disappearing history, disappearing your true power, in order for you to buy into the system that is presented for you, to be convincing yourself that you are a slave. All of these futures are filtered. Our past, our present moment, everything is filtered, whether it's through distraction or some kind of download, an alternate timeline download. We have a fear of life because we fear death. We don't understand death. We don't understand our dreams. We have no connections to our dreams, and we have no true energy, no true life force connection to our life, our imagination. If we fear death, then we largely fear life. If we are constantly bombarded by fear and destruction, then we lack in love and compassion and empathy and true connection to ourselves, the Great Spirit, and each other. That is the design of this whole spiritual genocide as a whole. And the distraction within this artificial intelligence, this destructive intelligence, and this materialistic grid is to lock down our moments, which will lock down our future, our progress, our understandings, our ability to challenge the system as a whole, our abilities to expand outside of this space, or even comprehend the need to expand out of this self-destructive program. Because this is the design to keep us in this space. It's like the controlled demolitions of 9/11. This is a controlled evolution in order to maintain demigods, the facade of a demigod, controlling your evolution through time, through illusions, powerless, weak, lacking of fire, to create a space where you believe in the monkey mind mentality, and then you just manifest that as your reality. And on the physical, bound to the physical reality, they actually developed this place where you eat genetically modified foods and drink fluoridated water on a regular basis, and just this completely out of balance connection, this lack of connection with your true harmonics physically, to where our brain isn't even working correctly. Our blood isn't activating at all. Our genetic codes are being programmed by the so-called healthcare system to create cancer, to create disease, in order to create profit. They're profiting off of our death, disease, cancer, and destruction. This is why they install all of these viruses and all this other stuff, and then put it on the news to make you more fearful. Put it deeper into your system. This is why the whole medical industry is about. Like when they had actual shaman in the indigenous cultures, there's a level of belief in that, and a connection to those shaman that the people had, that was balanced out by their actual remedies that they had. But this taps into largely what we would call today in the healthcare system the placebo effect, where you can actually heal yourself. Your body actually can heal itself, that the so-called medical industry has no understanding of. That's an actual program, that's an actual thing that your body, your connection to consciousness and time and experience as a whole has, that has been completely shut down when you are locked into a prescription drug reality, when you are locked into a separation grid, a lack of belief, a lack of connection as a whole to anything. When you're locked into that separation program, you really don't have any medicine people. You have drugs, you have hopes, and basically the cancer and the disease outweighs your understandings of your true connections and your reality as a whole. And as long as that exists so vibrantly in the collective, then it will manifest down to the individual, to where you won't even be able to maintain a healthy existence, let alone be able to fight off any kind of diseases. And the numbers get played over time. And this is why we have such a sick and diseased society today, because that is the intention of the medical program, the Obamacare, the hospitals, the prescription drug reality. All of it is the intended part of the genocidal program. So we're basically, this is the living dead space. And as long as we don't question our reality, if we keep fighting ourselves based upon like what we think we believe, because that's not true, or this and that, whatever it is that you've convinced yourself to believe in, that's not going to help anybody. That's not going to help anything. It's just a glorifying of this system that doesn't want to be revealed for what it truly is. But in order to truly heal outside of this this system that is designed like the fiat currency system, this whole like, oh well, we need to just, you know, keep the money in the community and keep that is no different than like the civil rights time frame shift change. It's just, it's all, that's all built in. They want you to keep using their money. They want you to keep creating these shallow versions of change in order to maintain the power grid as a whole. But this whole system needs to be addressed from the roots all the way to the fruits. It needs to go all the way to the top and beyond into the ethers of getting our souls back, getting our spirit out of these vaults that have been locking down our fire, locking down our connections, and distracting us and our kids over and over again with one new magic show, another smoke and mirrors program every day. So that's basically it. That's all I really wanted to address today, was this spiritual genocide that is really built within the system, and the controlled evolution, or the controlled revolution out there with this whole Young Turks and Alex Jones stuff. That's why those individuals are out there, to make you think like things are changing. It's why the television shows, the talk show hosts are out there, to make you think these things are changing for you. No, it's not for you. It's for an extension of what already was. And since you have grown, it's only for you in a sense that you have evolved in a space of consciousness to where you won't take the old shit anymore. You won't just accept terrorism and all that stuff with George Bush, not in 2016. You need somebody like a Barack Obama to put that system out there. This is why he's out there. He's been out there to keep all those energies quiet. And they distract you with these new changes. First they had all this change from George Bush to the first black president. Now this insecure space of going from the first black president to the first woman president, as if that makes a difference, knowing that she's a criminal and all the other things that are involved in that whole thing. They're not leaders, period. First of all, it starts there, and then the whole system is designed to destroy you anyway. But the distraction is to give you some kind of toy or scare the shit out of you. And it's actually a bit of both all the time. So this is how our revolution and evolutions are being controlled, with the subtle layer of the undertones of spiritual genocide. So that's basically it. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.